Namaste. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. We're going to be looking at what is yin. So you may have seen my Instagram already. I do a lot of yang practice, primarily vinyasa. But the secret to developing a deep yang practice, whether that's Ashtanga, Hatha, Vinyasa, any other styles, especially in your asana practice, developing a deep asana practice. One of the big secrets is actually developing a yin practice. Okay? Now the reason for this is because in yang styles, we're working yang tissues in the body, right? So primarily the muscles. And muscles, they work great with repetitive and consistent movement. That is how your muscle mobility increases, right? You're often called flexibility. But in order to go deeper, there's more in the body than just muscle that is what contributes to making you flexible. One of the major parts of what makes you quote unquote more flexible is the connective tissue, right? So when we look at the fascia is a yin type tissue. And yin tissues like fascia, joints, bones, tendons, ligaments, these, especially tendons and ligaments, they don't contribute to your overall flexibility, but they do contribute to having safe joints in a safe practice, and they do contribute to feeling that lightness that you often feel after a yoga practice. So it makes logical sense. If we work the yang tissues in a yang way, then we work the yin tissues in a yin way, right? So I'm not here advocating that you exercise or stretch your tendons and your joints, but if you apply yin practice, then a yin style will work those parts of your body and contribute to your overall health and well-being. Okay, especially because so many of the issues that we have in our body over time are in the joints because of their frequent use. Applying the healthy stress, not stretch, stress of yin to the joints is very helpful for keeping them lubricated, keeping them mobile, and keeping them functioning properly. So let's take a look at what is yin. Well, the major thing we want to pay attention to here is that yin is yielding, okay? So when we work in our asana practice with a yang style, we are bringing our body into a certain shape, right? Whatever that shape is for your specific body, you're exploring it. So if you were doing like, Warrior One, you would be bringing your body to a certain space and holding that space. Sorry, this would be Warrior Two. This is Warrior One. All right, so whatever asana you're doing, you're bringing your body there and you're holding it and you're using your muscles to help you stay there. And that's great. But in yin, we're yielding. And so we are completely relaxed. And that relaxation, what that does is it moves the healthy stress from a specific part of your body throughout the muscles to the point of resistance. And so that point might be tension in the muscles, it could be a stiff joint, it could be something else. But the point is, when we yield the body and consciously relax into an asana, then that process of yielding can take place, and the healthy stress, called eustress, it will move to the area where it needs to go, because by default, if all the areas are relaxed, then any areas that still have tension, they will absorb that stress, right? And a big part of that comes from stillness. In the yang practice, we're very active, we're moving around, sometimes we're repeating asanas multiple times, and in yin, we're cultivating stillness. Now, of course, you actually can't be still at all, no matter how hard you try. In fact, nothing material is ever still, because everything is made of atoms. Atoms are always moving, and those atoms are ultimately made up of energy. So nothing is ever actually still, even if it looks stationary. But that stillness in our physical body, it helps to decrease the sensory overload that our senses often have, particularly in a yang practice. And so by cultivating stillness in an asana, we are able to allow the yielding and the eustress to apply throughout the body, depending on which asana you're actually doing in the practice. And this is because we hold asanas for 2 to 10 minutes. Now, research does show that you can hold asanas up to 20/21 minutes, and there's very little, if any, effective results after that. But the sweet spot tends to be around the 10-minute mark. The benefits of yin asanas on the body don't start until that 2-minute mark. Okay, so you do have to be in the asana for 2 minutes. And as we move forward into that 5 or 10-minute range, we're starting to get into the really juicy parts. Now, for the most part, we don't do yin asanas for more than 10 minutes because in your standard 60-minute class, 15-minute asana means that your class is over in basically like 3 asanas plus your opening and closing meditations. So that's a reason why we stick there. Now, if you're doing a 90-minute class, yeah, you want to be pushing up like that 7 to 13-minute mark. Okay? So yin is about yielding, being passive, letting things be, noticing what comes up and then allowing it to go. Cultivating stillness in the asana, so holding space, holding stillness, and then holding that asana for 2 to 10 minutes. Okay, and this is where a lot of the deep benefits of yin practice actually come from, because by holding that stillness and applying that healthy stress to whatever part of the body it's being applied to, the time that it's held for actually gives your body the time to go into it. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we use yang practices on yang style tissues, right? And the muscles, it doesn't take very much to warm up, right? You get warm pretty quickly. But it takes a fair bit for the yin tissues of the body, the plastic tissues of the body, to warm up. And we're not necessarily looking to get them warm in the same way that we warm up our muscles, but we could consider warming them up as having applied a healthy amount of eustress to that specific tissue for multiple minutes. And the big thing in yin is you don't go deeper by physically moving deeper into the asana. You go deeper by holding the asana for a longer period of time. All right? So these are some of the basics of what yin is like. Now, when you go into a yin class, you can expect to do between 10 and maybe up to 15 asanas if you're holding them all for in the neighborhood of like 3 to 5 minutes. But yeah, you're probably looking around the 10 to 12 mark. And the other big thing that is well defined with yin, you see it in yang practices as well, but it's very specifically brought up or encouraged. That's the word I'm looking for. Encouraged is props. Okay. Now, in other styles, they do make some room for props, but the props are basically there as like a backup option or a modification, or to help you as you go deeper into a variation, right? Whereas in yin, we're basically coming onto the mat and we're trying to gather as many props as we can and really using the props to help open and explore the body. Even though we're being still, as the body gradually opens, it will morph, right? So think of this stillness as more like morphing. Okay? And we use this morphing to really help the body open up at its own pace. And this morphing plus props is the secret to how you use your yin practice to develop a deeper yang asana practice. And I can tell you, I've noticed if you look through my Instagram, you'll see that there's a number of asanas that I could do. And then about 2 years ago, when I started doing a yin practice, a whole bunch of other deeper asanas started opening up, and that's because of the yin practice. All right, and it has a whole bunch of emotional benefits, pranayama benefits, mental benefits as well, emotional benefits. We're not going to go into all of that right now, but I just wanted to let you know, like, this is what a yin class looks like. And if you would like to join a yin class, I run a guided yin class, and you can click the link in my bio to get the event details. And if you have any other questions, just send me a DM. All right, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in class.